who, from a whole persona, was my complete opposite. He said, "Why, Bruce, would you do that?" Well, because I looked around to all the other staff that I have, and I hired them all, and guess what? They all look like me. Not physically, thank goodness for them. They've got hair, I don't. Okay? But they pretty much are carbon copies of me from a risk-taking standpoint. Because they were under my direction for 5, sometimes 10 years. They are, unfortunately for them, largely influenced by my style. So I said, rather than do what came natural to me, I went out and hired a lady who was the complete opposite. This woman, she's like my wife. Okay? She spends money like you can't believe. She recently took a trip, and we have a policy at work where if we go overseas, we'll pay for business class, but nobody does that, not even the CEO. We all travel in steerage because it saves money. Well, guess what? Not this lady. Okay? She went business class, and she's out there and just pushing things, and I listen to her ideas, and the first reaction I have is, why would you do this? Got to stop that. Guys, we need her. I need her. I need her perspective. You can't have everybody looking like me. Can't have everybody acting like me. It's because it stifles innovation. Okay, some examples. Because I told you some of the failures. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with failure if it doesn't hurt you too badly. Actually, if you read anything about innovation, there really has to be a tolerance for what you might call failure. That is, everything's not going to work. It just won't. You talk to people like in Procter & Gamble, like 1 out of every 150 product ideas actually makes it to market. What P&G is very good at is failing early so that it minimizes the cost investment. But for every product you see out there, and frankly, I don't know why some of them work, there's hundreds that don't work. You have to have this tolerance for, quote, failure, that not everything's going to work. But here's an example of where, in fact, we specifically at AG.com, one of our divisions, decided we needed to be innovative. So what you see up there is a typical day of bandwidth for our websites. So it's roughly 80 megabits per second, okay, at its peak, when nothing's going on. Now, you should all go, wow, that's a lot. 80 megabits a second, is that a lot to you? You don't think that's a lot? Where do you work?
I work for Platinum Tel. We do a little bit more than that.
You, on a daily basis? Well, good for you. Okay. Normally that impresses people that know that's hauling some big,
Dollars.
yeah, hauling some big dollars. Well, okay, that's what it looks like on a normal day. Let me show you what it looks like on Valentine's Day.
Oh, that's impressive.
Okay. Now that's impressive. I got an impressive thing, almost a gigabyte. Actually, that was 2003. 2004, we were about 1.4 gigabytes per second. That's hauling some serious bandwidth, okay? And this is our life. At AG.com, we literally have an engineering cycle of 364 days. That is, after Valentine's Day, we have 364 days to prepare for the next Valentine's Day. And we do. For those of you who may have read in Crane's Cleveland Business the week or after Valentine's Day, we had a nice article that showed that our site was up. Yeah. Okay? And Hallmark, those people who are unnamed in Kansas City, they were down. And they had to do a lot of damage control, and we were laughing our butts off. It's a matter of pride on who can stay up. Well, this is what we were faced with. And by the way, things are so crazy that all you can do, you can see how that ramps up in bandwidth, all you can do at that point is just hold on for the ride. Because at that point, even monitoring is turned off because it's invasive. Okay? I mean, it's that tough. And we have 600 servers, by the way, in our server farm. And so either you did it right or you didn't. And see, you saw in 2003, there was some blips. Those were actually gates that we put up to redirect traffic. So even though it looks like there were some blips, they were planned, so we considered 2003 to be good. But we were sitting there. Patting ourselves on the back that we made it through 2003 and started into the planning cycle for 2004. And this is what the business told us. Right? Great job, guys. Thank you very much. Store was open, took the money. Great year. Guess what for next year? Okay, we're going to triple the volume. Okay, anybody out there does capacity planning for their websites? Tripling your volume on a curve like that is enough to send you packing. And that's about the way we felt. Oh, and by the way, do it for less than $1 million. Now, you say, well, that doesn't sound unreasonable. Well, the infrastructure that we had was in the neighborhood of $12 million. Oh, and by the way, you have 6 months to do it. They didn't tell us the day after Valentine's Day. They told us somewhere in July. Well, you know, after getting over the initial shock, you know, we went through those 7 stages of dealing with life crisis. You know, we were in denial. We were in denial, and then so we got through those pretty quick. But we basically said, doing what we did in the past ain't gonna work. Duh, right? At least we were smart enough to know that. So we said, we got a problem here. And we better figure out some ways to do this that are totally different from whatever we did before. Otherwise, it ain't gonna work. We finally recognized that, you know, we had to do something different. Now, it took something like this to give us the wake-up call. And it's a very serious wake-up call. So what do? Trying to get this microphone to bear with me a moment. Okay. Still. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we could hear you.
Okay.
No
Well, we did this thing. First thing we did was get rid of me, right? Keep the management at bay. Oh, you know, oh, geez. Bruce, stay out of it. Oh, you can tell how I reacted to that. But it was a good move on their part. Again, I trained them. They know what I would do, and they knew that was wrong or wouldn't be enough. So they said, we'll just report back to you. That was hard. Hard for me to just let go, you know, and so, but I did, and it wasn't perfect, but for the most part, they kept me on it. So then we did some unusual teams. You know, normally, well, you get one guy from the infrastructure group, and they do it, you know, and it's normally George, right, because he does this, and when we get our number one guy for programming, you know, put him on the team, and that's what we normally do. We said, nah. Because otherwise we're going to end up with the same stuff. Those three always get together and we have what we have. Got to stop that. We took people who really had no idea on what the infrastructure looked like and how it all fitted together. We put them on that team because they would ask the dumb questions. And we were hoping they'd have innovative solutions. And we decided to go to the outside, which we never do. I have this shirt in my office, okay? It says, vendors suck. It's because vendors suck, okay? I just, throughout my career, you know, I've been burned by too many people that all they want to do is take my money and run and use whatever bonus they got for selling me that piece of crap to go on a nice vacation. To the point where we went right to open source shop, and we just didn't want to look at anybody else. But again, we had to break that rule in order to come up with some innovative things. You had to do things differently. So, okay. There's what we did. Page caching. We have a dynamic site that, you know, we use this. We have maybe 6 or 7 base pages on our site that display thousands of different products. Well, how do you do that? Well, it's the same. You just dynamically feed it a parameter, right? It's product 1, 2, 3 instead of 2, 3, 4, and it's smart enough to find out where everything is and displays it, right? So every page is dynamic. So somebody said, can't we cache it? I said, how can we cache it? It's dynamic. Well, it turns out if you go out and ask that question to the right people, you will get the right answer. Well, the first people we asked were Oracle. Oracle had a really wonderful solution that for caching pages, and it just so happens that it very quickly was over that $1 million. Okay, so that was out. But then it got us thinking. It got us on a track that said, okay, this can be done. Because in fact, when you come to our site, and we don't know who you are, or if you're like a first-time visitor, or we just don't know anything about you, and you come to bluemountain.com, you get the same page as he does. And an hour later, you get the same page. It's the same page, you know, at least when you start out. Well, there ought to be a way to cache that somehow. Turns out there is. We had lengthy meetings, design meetings with Akamai. And through some very innovative things, they just didn't think it could be done, we ended up making changes to our application such that we could turn a switch at the server level and cache most of the pages. In fact, we were able to cache 70% of the pages on our site. Wow, 70%! 70%! Guys, 70%. That's like buying back, you know, a threefold increase in capacity. Hey, now that's innovation. And again, Akamai, they didn't think it could be done. Our people, Python people, that way, you know, figured it out. Unfortunately, without my help, you know, but they did it. And de-oracleizing, okay, this was an idea by one of our staff who, in a former life, had done some work with MySQL. We said, it's open source, and you know, it's not good. And he says, well, you know, let's just think. He says, aren't there parts of aren't there? And by the way, if you know MySQL, it's a great package, and in fact, for read-only applications, it's faster than Oracle. Oracle may not think so, but try it. So, okay, it's faster for read-only. Is there part of our application that is read-only? Why, golly, there is. There really is. In fact, most of the work that's done is retrieval. For every person that sends a card, we serve on the average of 8 pages that are just retrieving data that builds a page. Oh, golly. MySQL does retrieval faster than Oracle, and it's free. How cool is that? Our DBAs, by the way, who were, notice the word were, Oracle DBAs, didn't believe it. But boy, we ran benchmarks. My golly, now our Oracle DBAs